More states looking to raise taxes due to a decrease in tax revenue. That's weird. So far, at least 10 states are considering a major increase in sales or income tax. They are, get your moving trucks ready, Arizona, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Massachusetts, Minnesota. Wow, all progressive states. New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin. Wow, all progressive states. That's crazy. Here's David Buckner, professor of organizational leadership at Columbia University. David, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Good.
Good to see you.
Is it a little...
It's a little cold over there.
I just going to let him sit there for a while because it's freezing in the studio. David, as I'm looking at the states that are raising taxes, I'm looking at these and going, they are all the most liberal states. They're all of them that have all these programs. Now they can't afford it. At what point do these states just say they fail? There's no more money left.
Well, at some point they recognize you can't tax your way out of a recession. You can't. You cannot take money away from the consumers, from small businesses and individuals, and assume that things are going to get better. You cannot entice firms to come in if you're going to be taxing them. Firms will look elsewhere. Okay.
Revenue, I read today, revenue for the IRS is down 25%.
Significantly.
Okay. That's bigger than the economy is, right? The economy's not down. Okay, a significant drop in the revenue to the IRS, down 25%.
And it didn't all come from AIG. But
right. Okay. So that's down 25%. Why is it that it seems that progressives and the media understand trickle-down economics when the poor, when the rich lose all their wealth and then, oh, this is going to hurt the economy, and they understand that 25% down in the IRS is happening because the economy is faltering? Why don't they understand it the other direction?
They don't see it in the reverse.
Why?
Well,
they're intellectually dishonest.
Intellectually dishonest. There's also a concept of fairness. And so what they don't look at the facts, they don't look at the economics of it. They look at the fairness. And it's not fair that wealthy people make lots of money. So as long as this trickle-down concept works on the one side, we're not going to acknowledge it on the other. Let me give you an example. I have a colleague of mine in Boston. About October, he quits, shuts down his offices, sends everybody gone until the end of the year. Does it because he can't afford to stay in business. Why? Because he goes into the next bracket. It becomes he has to work till December 15th before he makes a dime. There is no incentive for him to keep producing. You look at those states, the states that you've got there where they've increased taxes, they claim themselves to be progressive states, and you recognize those states are not the ones that are going to be incenting or motivating small businesses. They're not going to be incenting you and I to go to work there, and yet they don't recognize the incentive process that they're trying to initiate in taxation. The incentive process actually beguiles them and fails rather than supporting them.
How do they... Is it truly just intellectually dishonest, or have we missed something? I'm so frustrated because, look, Thomas Jefferson's quote from Peter Carr, where he was saying, he was talking about religion. He said, "Fix reason firmly in her seat, and question with boldness even the very existence of God. For if there be a God, he must surely honor honest questioning over blindfolded fear." I ask honest questions. I know what I believe, but if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Is there anyone with any kind of intellectual honesty that cares about the country?
There's philosophical differences because they believe, and I say they generally, those that are in progressive areas that suggest that the government should own larger percentages and tax the wealthy and take it, they believe in redistribution.
Have they read a history book? It doesn't work, ever.
You're absolutely right.
Cuba. They're playing footsie down in Cuba this week. All these progressive Democrats saying, "Oh, it's great, and he's great for the people." They're driving 1950s vehicles. It's like, wow, you have a color TV? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. We don't even have examples in a classroom environment. I mean, whether you look at the Soviet Union of the past, or you look at Cuba, you look at North Korea, we don't see any examples where this kind of government control and paternalistic ownership and kind of caregiving works. It doesn't.
America, this is going to, I mean, honestly, this could become the Charlie Rose show like that. This is going to be an extraordinarily boring topic, but I have to tell you, I'm going to try to make it so you can sit through it because it's so important. For the first time in history, Moody's Investor Service has assigned a negative outlook to the creditworthiness of all local governments in the United States of America. Back with me now is David Buckner, professor of organizational leadership at Columbia University. Dave, let's start here. I think this is an enormous deal Am I wrong on that?
No, it's the first time it's ever been done across the nation. There's such a diversity among the strengths and weaknesses of different municipalities that for Moody's to come out and say, blanket, everybody is going to have a negative outlook.
Explain muni bonds. These are, I want to build a school, I sell bonds.
Anything that the city, community, town, school board, you sell a bond, I lend you money by buying the bond, and you give me a return down the road. You give me an interest rate on that. Now, when Moody's comes in and says, I don't think you have, it's unlikely you're going to pay me back in a timely fashion. Or it's unlikely you're going to be able to pay me back as to the level that we agreed to, as efficiently as I thought. So they rate it down. They rank it down, which means what? I'm not going to buy your bond, so what do you have to do? You have to raise the promise to deliver, which means you're going to have to pay me more interest. For me to do.
It's like a credit card. If I have a credit card and I've maxed it out, I can get probably somebody to give me more credit or another credit card for a while.
At a higher rate.
But a very high rate.
Absolutely, a higher rate.
So it costs every city more money to be able to build the school or anything else.
And that more money is not for the services and the goods. That's just for interest.
Okay.
Yep.
What this means is that Moody's, and they haven't downgraded them yet.
No,
they're letting everybody know. Yeah. What that means is it, correct me if I'm wrong again, that they see things becoming so unstable that we could just all suck each other down?
Well, two things. They see that the recession is so uniform and the impact of it is across the country that they're willing to go out and not itemize specific states, cities, or towns. It's everybody. That's one thing.
Okay.
And the second thing is they recognize that the negative outlook is likely to lead to the downgrades, which will increase the interest rates, which they're saying uniformly will likely occur. And it's going to bring.
And if your interest rates go up, that means those bonds cost that school cost the taxpayers more money, which means the taxes in that town have to go up to pay for that bond, which they can't.
Or the services have to be reduced. One of the two things. Those are the only two ways out: increase taxes, reduce services.
I said to the guy who is my investment advisor, I said, I want the safest thing. And he said, this is 2 years ago, and he said, okay, crazy man. And I said, listen, what is the safest thing? I don't know anything about investing. And he said, well, treasuries and bonds. I called him about 8 months ago, and I said, absolutely out of everything. And he said, Glenn, please. State bonds, we're talking Connecticut state bonds, they've never gone bad. They've never, please, you're in crazy territory.
You asked for it out, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did. But that is the problem, that nobody's willing to look at a scenario that has never happened. Just because it's never happened doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
No, absolutely. If you think of where we've gone, we've moved from equities, from stock. People aren't investing in companies. That's why we're half the market than we were. We've moved to something safer. Bonds, loans to companies. We've moved to something safer. Municipal bonds or munis. It's supposed to be safer because what cities and communities go bankrupt except for Vallejo, California, which did. And Orange County. But okay, a few more. But the reality, it's safer. Yeah. Now, what's next? Treasuries. Excuse me, folks. If we've gone from securities, from stocks, to corporate bonds, to munis, to treasuries, and treasuries are the only.
It's the same problem. It's the same problem over and over again. In the stock market, people were just, in the housing, people were just spending too much money. They didn't have the money to spend, and we spent it anyway. Same with the companies. Same with the cities. It's the same with the country now. Yeah. We're dogpiling.
It is a dog pile, and the challenge that you have here is there's only two ways a city will ever get out. They either have to raise taxes or they're going to have to reduce services. There is no other way around it. And if you're raising taxes, you're going to create the, okay, you got the school, but nobody's going to attend there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. David, I appreciate it.
See you.
All right, good.